Today, drama means cheerful goodbyes. Drama means a necessary evil. And drama means you mean you want them to be happy 24/7? Hi, welcome to Drama Means. Today we're talking about breaking up.
And I guess there's not really a summary this week other than we're going to talk about breakup scenes, the necessary evil in romantic dramas.
Yeah, and I think when we did the episode of Revenged Love, I had kind of talked about, we're going to do our top 5 favorite breakup scenes. And although Ryan doesn't remember any breakup scenes,
I don't remember shows and oh my god, that was a great breakup scene. That doesn't compute to me.
Yeah. Well, I dug deep into my memories of my so many years of drama watching. And I picked a few that I still remember. Even if I didn't go back and rewatch anything, I still remember very significant scenes.
Now, the only problem is sometimes you remember scenes not how they actually happened, but how they happen in your mind. Take, for instance, the boba straw, the infamous boba straw scene. So we're just going to have to trust you on some of these.
Well, yes. And I mean, if you guys go back and go watch the scene and just tell me, be like, hey, Mel, you totally remembered that scene wrong. I'll be like, oh shit, my bad. But this is how I remember it. And so that's what we're going to talk about. I did not go back and rewatch stuff. So, you're just going to have to trust me on this one.
So I think the first thing we should kind of mention is that, the breakup scene, it's been called a trope now. Whatever, the 11th episode curse or whatever, people call it a trope.
Yeah, I think, so in dramas, people are always saying, oh, the 11th episode trope, or the 11th episode
curse. Yeah.
Right? But I also, on, the book reader side of things, people have voted that the random breakup before getting back together part, towards the end, is the second most hated trope.
Right. And I guess, I don't find breakups to be tropes. To me, breakups are just a source of conflict like anything else. A breakup doesn't have to be a breakup. So when you say trope to me, what I think of is breakups done badly.
Yes.
And so, yes, the trope of they randomly, as you say, break up, well, that's dumb. Nothing in your story should happen randomly. Everything should have purpose and structure to it. So that I agree with. But the trope of breaking up, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, so as I have said before, when we went to school, we had a full class, which is the class that Ryan and I met in, called cinematic structure. And structurally in writing is, boy meets girl,
Right. There's a wooing period, there's a testing out period, then it's a will they, won't they, and then they get together. And then, unless it's the end of the story, something else has to happen.
Because when they end up together, that's, as in many stories before, it's always been happily ever after.
And that was the trope.
That was the trope. But the thing is, once they're together, that's it. That is your ending. So for them to not want to end it too soon, they have to break up, and then they have to overcome that obstacle, and then they get back together, and then happy ending, we're done.
Right. And I always say, I had a mentor, coworker, what do you want to call him, many years ago say, no one wants to watch two people be in love. They want to watch two people fall in love. And it's the second our couple becomes in love, that's when you roll the credits. Because then it's just kind of status quo. And of course, there always can be complications in real relationships, even if you are in love. But the story of falling in love is so much more interesting than the story of being in love. And I think that's where we get just because you're together doesn't mean you've worked out all your idiosyncrasies. You're not in love yet. You're not, really with that person until you kind of learn everything you need to know about that person, right? And so that's where the breakup thing kind of comes in.
So you mentioned before that the reason why people find breaking up as a trope is because it's not done well.
Well, there's no justification for it or it's like, oh, well, now they have to break up.
Yeah, and then like the reasoning is really like illogical, and then like worst the worst thing is that they get back together in such a weird like coerced way also. It's like, okay, so then that part is and a trope, and a lot of shows have started to do that where they, didn't really put the effort into the breakup or the getting back together.
Yeah, I guess in the word trope, what I infer a lot of times is laziness. Is you want that extra conflict. You haven't really mapped it out for it to be a worthy thing for your characters to want to do, but as a writer or a filmmaker, you want to do it. So you just find an excuse to do it, and then you find an excuse to undo it, and it feels really whiplashy. And that's the ones we don't like. That's where it's like, was that necessary? You could have just ended the show an episode earlier.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And a lot of times back in the day, with a lot of the K dramas, it was so formulaic where, you know, they would go through their whole courting and then they would get together and then they would break up and then they would get back together. And then at the end, in the last episode, one of them would be like, oh, well, I'm going to go abroad.
Oh, the abroad.
For a couple years to study or to do something like a job, whatever it was. It was some excuse to be abroad and they had to be separated for a year or two. And then, the next scene, it's been 2 years and they come back and they're together again.
We went on a run of watching shows where like 5 shows in a row, either the guy or the girl went abroad to study. And I was like, what? Why is this a thing?
And I was just like, but it was so silly because it's not like we saw them away from each other for that amount of time.
No.
It's literally like, oh, they bring it up, and then in the next scene, the time has passed and the person's returning. It wasn't like, we didn't see the struggles of them like having to have a long distance relationship. Or some worse is that they don't communicate with each other for the 2 years that the other has gone.
Yeah, apparently in the 21st century, if you go abroad, there's no phones or internet or FaceTime or anything that you can keep in contact with your friends or loved ones.
Yeah, so it was kind of, it did become super formulaic.
But that's the lazy stuff. Like, of course we don't like the lazy thing. We want the good thing. It doesn't mean that breakups can't be good. It doesn't mean they can't be good scenes and have justification.
Yes. So today we're talking about the ones that I remember. And of course we're going to start with Revenge Love because we had talked about it in the Revenge Love episode. So we won't spend too much time on it, but
that's what opened this whole can of worms.
It did. And so, but I do have to like emphasize how good that scene is and how they held back the emotions and, and rather showing like anger, they showed the disappointment.
Yeah, it was well acted, obviously.
Yes, and I think that really saves a breakup scene is the acting of it, and it's not like an over the top, forced kind of feeling like when the breakup seems really natural and like, kind of necessary.
Well, I think with Revenge Love specifically, it's actually structured like a romantic comedy because they're coming into this relationship with secrets and ulterior motives. They just happen to fall for each other. So at some point, these ulterior motives have to come out. And then the characters have to decide whether or not the ulterior motive is a deal breaker. Like, you started this relationship under false pretenses, but now that we're here, what do I think of that?
Yeah.
And there is hurt and disappointment. It's not just, ah!
Yeah. But also, for me, it was from the get-go. He was very upset. He was, Chichong was disappointed, but he literally was like, just tell me you actually love me and you have real feelings for me, and I'm going to forget this ever happened. And we wouldn't have to break up.
Right.
Right? So we already knew where they want it to be. It's not like he really wanted to break up. What he wanted was an apology and like confirmation that his feelings weren't wasted on someone that didn't feel the same way about him.
Right, because he had processed some of the betrayal already. Like, on his own, he processed some of the betrayal.
Yes.
So now he's going, okay, now that I've been betrayed and lied to, what do I do with it? Do my feelings just evaporate? Well, no. So what do I do about it? And I think that's very mature as a human, but also as a character going, and as the filmmaker writer to go, oh, how would you actually feel? What's the real of it, and not just the sensational? Well, they have to break up, so they're going to scream at each other and how dare you, and then storm out. Then we like get into cliche territory.
Yeah. So that scene, I think, even 20 years from now, I will still remember, as the next show that I'm going to talk about, which has been 24 years since it aired, and it's called Romance in the Rain.
Never seen it.
So yes, it's super old. Ryan and I hadn't even met then when I watched this. I do have to say I own this drama on VCD, even though I have not watched it in a long time, mainly because I don't know if we have a player that would play VCDs. But I still own it. I own my set. But it is a long period drama, set in like the Republican era, or like maybe like World War II.
Okay.
And so starring Vicky Zhao and Leo Koo. Yeah. Leo Koo.
Took a little bit on that one.
Yeah, because
It's been 24 years. I'll give you a break.
Well, I always call him Google Gay, so it was just kind of like, oh yeah, his English name is Leo Koo, but yes. Anyway, so this is kind of an epic and also classic in Chinese entertainment. It was really like, I don't know, it really, like, people in China still talk about this drama.
Okay.
Right? But the breakup scene is, so Vicky Zhao's character, it's been a really long time, but I believe her mom is like some kind of mistress of this big general guy, military guy, and her dad is very like dictatory in the family, and she held lots of grudges towards her dad, and she happens to meet Leo Koo that her half sister has a crush on, and she kind of like, I think, aimed to steal Leo Koo.
Okay.
Right, from Ruby Lynn's character, and so when they fall for each other, but like every day she would do this like diary entry, right? And and every day it's like she kind of bitches about the family and like how she's gonna exact her revenge and all that stuff. But it was like, as diaries go, it's like, your emotions are on a daily basis. So like maybe when you read, 3 months ago she really hated the guy and wanted, to do whatever, and then like 3 months later she's fallen in love with him and like wants to give him her whole life, kind of thing, right?
Okay.
So each part of the diary is like a different whatever, but he so happens to read the part in the diary where she's using him to like get revenge on her half sister, right? So he's very upset with her and like breaks it off with her. So that scene, although it is like kind of, it's a good scene, both are good actors, but it's what comes after the breakup and how, like the breakup really like tears her apart, and she like basically loses her mind. Right? And she kind of goes crazy, and she has way too much pride to like beg for his forgiveness. But even then, she kind of like shows up to his engagement party to her half sister, like in hopes to kind of like rekindle something. And when that doesn't work, she kind of loses it, and she just almost goes into this like hysteria where she climbs on this bridge and she falls into the river, and she like almost loses her life. And that's when he like starts reading the full, like the entirety of this diary, and realizes like, oh, her feelings, like, or later in the diary, like when she developed true feelings for him. But like that whole scene is so epic, and like, and it is in true soap opera fashion. And I don't know if it really holds up to our 2025 standards.
Right, because it's very melodrama, it's very over the top, it's going to be very soap.
Yeah, very soap, but it's still really well acted. It was like ahead of its time, and it was just, it kind of like, well, I feel like there were two shows acted with both the lead actress Vicky Zhao, which kind of put Chinese like mainland entertainment on the map and became like starting to get more popular.
Mm-hmm.
Was Princess Returning Pearl, which is like, it's set in the Qing dynasties, starring Vicky Zhao, and then the next one is Romance in the Rain.
But I think what I'm hearing you say about it is something that always occurs to me when you see breakup scenes. And also, we talked a little bit about this in the last episode about, if your characters end up together, I'm always wondering why. Like, why do your characters have to break up? How does this affect the plot? How do the emotions tie into what's going on? Why are our characters ending up together? Why do they have to end up together? And if your answer as a writer is, because I want them to, you're lazy. Like, that's just lazy writing. Your characters have to earn the right to either break up or be together or whatever it is. They have to do things that force your hand as the writer to give them those results. And the fact that this breakup scene then fuels the plotting and the emotions of the entire rest of the story, then it's effective. The breakups we hate are, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And then they go for a walk. And then while they're on the walk, we replay the breakup that we just saw. And then they go, actually, I'm not so mad. And then they get back together. That's why that's not effective. Like, it needs to affect the plot, and it needs to have to happen.
So that is another breakup scene that has left like an imprint on my memory. And now, and I do definitely remember it this way. If you guys can find it somewhere to watch and tell me that it didn't happen this way, sure, but this is how I remembered it. But the next show that I want to talk about is My Girl, which is a 2005 K-drama. And it stars Lee Dong-wook and Lee Da-hye. And so this was one of the first ones that I ever saw where all of the excuses, so Ryan tells me that there's a term called white fanging it.
Oh, yeah, the white fang. Or, well, it's controversially either known as white fanging it or Harry and the Hendersonsing it, which is the same scene. It's where you tell someone how much you don't love them so they leave you because it's better for them. So in White Fang, he's like, oh, well, a wolf can't live with me. I don't love you anymore. Go away, White Fang. Go back to the woods where wolves belong. And of course, he loves White Fang. But he's telling White Fang he doesn't love him so that he goes away and lives the way a wolf should.
Yes. So in that fashion, in My Girl, Lida, his character, her character's name is Yurim, and she's been like kind of like a con artist, and like finding ways to like be, because like I don't really remember like what the real scenario is where she's from Jeju and she needs a place to stay, and so she kind of latches on to Lee Dong-wook's character. And I don't remember like if she pretends to be someone that she isn't or what it was, but like either way, she was mooching off of Lee Dong-wook for a long time, and then they started having feelings together for each other, and they start dating, and then her lie starts unraveling, and like she gets found out. And so their breakup scene is she's standing there and she's saying all the things, like all the bad things she's done and how all her stuff are lies. And the more she talked, the more you can feel just how much she loves him.
Yeah.
Right? And that scene, it's like heartfelt, and it's, you know, the purpose is conveyed, and it's like, you know, with the white thing, and a lot of times people do this too, is like where you make up things and you like, and then you shoo, you know, the person you're in love with away, right? But it's just so coerced and you don't feel the emotions. This one, it truly lands. But I think the best part is after they have the breakup and someone goes to Lee Dong-wook and talks to him, and he's like, I know exactly, like, I trust her. I know she loves me, but I know that she needed this breakup for so she could feel better about deceiving me, and that she wanted to take responsibility for her actions, and I'm just allowing that so that she can get that comfort.
Well, and that's a perfect example of the fact that the breakup scene is informing her character growth. So it's not just a breakup scene for breakup scene's sake because we have to do one in the 11th episode. It's she has gotten to a point where her character can no longer live with herself unless she does this thing. Again, this is like, now she has to do it. She has no choice. Even if it is the worst thing that, well, she still loves him. She doesn't want to do this, but she has to. And now it's supremely motivated, and both characters understand why it's happening. And then the fallout also makes sense and, again, affects the plot going forward. So this, like, I think you can sense a theme with a lot of these breakups. It's not just, well, we break up because you lied to me and then done with you. But it's like, no, this was a building of characters from page one.
Yeah. And the thing is it was my first time seeing a drama where like the person that was like being broken up with, like, knew the other so well, you know,
Yeah.
and fully trusted and like know like everything, like where it's coming from and why he needed to accept it with full real, like, with full knowledge that he's going to like find her and make up with her. You know, like he's not so gullible that he's gonna believe these lies that's like she's trying to, you know,
Yeah.
use to break up with him. And that was my first drama where I'm like, oh, like they have such an understanding for each other. And it's not like, oh, I'm gonna fall for your lies. I can't believe you did all this to me. I'm mad at you now. Like that's not where that was.
No, they took that and kind of turned it on its head and made it, a step more complicated.
Yeah, and more mature. So go check that one out too. You can fact check me.
So I think half of this episode is just fact check Mel and make sure that she knows what she's saying. For all we know, she walked in and go, "You're a poopy head." He was like, "No," and then she walked out.
Shut up. I have a decent memory.
Let's go on to the next one because this one's more contemporary. This one I trust you on because I've seen this.
Well, this one for sure. It's like it's only been a year,
right?
You know, and so it's fresh in our minds. But it was a scene that was so well acted, and it was a similar scene to My Girl where, you know, Poe was still kind of white fanging Tem.
Well, this is from Tempo, first of all, we should say.
Oh, yes, this is from the 2024 Thai drama, Tempo. Yeah, so the breakup scene was Poe is realizing, like, what damage it would do to Tem if they stayed together.
Right.
And so he felt like he needed to break up with Tem. And Tem pleading for them not to break up. And Poe is like, of course they're both sad. They still love each other. The emotions are still there. It's just that Poe feels like he's doing the right thing for Tem, and Tem is like, no, I want to fight for our love, not give up on our love.
Right.
And so, yes, their kind of goals are different, but like both have the same feelings for each other and just as strong for each other. But it was a scene that was really like that really impressed me in terms of acting and like the honestly like the desperation in Tim's eyes, or William's eyes. It just like it really like pulled the audience in.
I remember you saying that like William really surprised you in this scene as far as his acting chops.
Well, yeah, I have, of course there's been lots of idols that are good actors, right? But I've never watched William act before Tempo, and I wasn't expecting much from an idol group,
Honestly,
acting.
from the show overall, I wasn't expecting much from the acting. And I think, like we said in the episode, the show was really well cast as far as which role they put each of the guys in.
Yeah.
And having William in this role was the obvious choice. When you watch the scene, you go, oh, that's why he's this character. Like, nailed it.
Mm-hmm. So, so that breakup scene is on my list, and you can go back and watch the Tempo episode as we talked about that one too.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that scene in that episode.
Yeah. So another one that I want to talk about is Reply 1994. It's a 2013 Korean drama, and honestly, out of all the replies, I think it's the least favorite, like the least popular of. Because there was Reply 1997, which was first, then 1994, and then for whatever reason, people really liked Reply 1988 the most.
Right.
For me, it was definitely Reply 1994, but what I really liked about their breakup was that it felt so mature and real because they've known each other practically their whole lives.
Yeah.
Right? So it wouldn't be very common for them to break up after getting together. Because they've just known each other for so long, and they know like Suregi knew so much about Najong from day one, and he literally can like just look at her face and know what she's feeling and what her emotions are without having to ask questions. And he would just do things for her without being asked either. And so they had such like a connection already. So like to make it some random, say like third party, like a love triangle bullshit, it wouldn't work for their situation. And I know they really tried to make it like the audience wonder if she was going to end up with Trash or Yu Yun Suk's character. But it was no doubt in my mind that she was going to end up with Trash anyway. But anyway, what their breakup was that, she decided to take a job opportunity abroad. And that was right after they had started dating, and it was something that was better for her in the long run. But she also felt guilty about taking this opportunity because she chose to be away from him.
Right.
Right. And the worst part was that once she did it, she didn't want to complain to him of all the hardships that she was having abroad, because she was like, well, I'm guilty and I made this decision, so I have to act like everything is fine.
Yep.
Right? And for him, he's like, I have to act like everything's fine because I don't want her to like feel bad for leaving. And I don't want her to feel like I'm a burden on her because she's trying to pursue her dreams.
Exactly.
So it's just this kind of like, they both have the other's like well-being as a priority rather than their own. So then, in turn, they stop telling each other anything about themselves.
Right, and it complicates. It does the complete opposite of the effect that they want it to do. So again, this is all affecting the plot. It's all driven into the story narratively. We have to do this, so the show doesn't work. It's not just a trope.
Yeah.
This is the story.
Yeah. And the thing is, their breakup was like in the middle of the story and it wasn't towards the end. And so the fun part was like watching like how it unraveled, how they were going to like mend their broken hearts, how they were going to like work to get back together. Like that was the fun part to watch as an audience. Like there was the story, you know, how the relationship even like, you know, a lot of times I feel like people say things break, you know, and then you can never fix it again. But like sometimes like when you repurpose something, it becomes even stronger and have like a stronger bond. Mm-hmm. And I felt like their relationship in the story was true to that statement.
Yeah. No, that makes all the sense.
Yeah. So that to me was a really strong breakup and, you know, coming back together. And honestly, Reply 1994 was my favorite, like best story wise. Mm-hmm. So
those are the kind of the top ones that you kind of.
Those are my like. As I can remember at the top of my head without like going and dissecting every single drama. And of course, there's so many dramas out there that have good breakups. Or like I didn't choose ones that like either, you know, their breakup is because one person died, or the purpose was like, you know, where the breakup is the start of the story.
Right. That's a different structure altogether. I think it's not really what we're talking about.
Yeah. So there were a lot of things that I had to consider before choosing the ones that I chose. But when I talk about like with Reply 1994, it was like kind of a non-conventional way of telling the breakup story. And I do have to mention, I have an honorable mention.
Okay.
And the reason why I didn't really pick it to talk about in like my top 5, my pseudo top 5, is that the acting was not so good in it.
Oh.
And also it was like a relationship that didn't really start, like it started but didn't really start, like it wasn't official.
Okay.
For there to even be a breakup. So it is an older woman, younger guy story. The older woman is married.
Okay.
And it's I think it's like 2004.
Okay.
2004 Japanese drama called Sore wa Totsuzen Arashi no Yoni, which translates, it was sudden like a storm.
Okay.
Where it's basically an older woman who had a budding career and then had to kind of drop her career for, you know, marriage and like family life and like helping her parents like run this like florist shop, flower shop, like nursery, whatever, things that you sell flowers and plants.
Yes. Okay. I gotcha. I'm with you.
Yeah. So she's like she felt like she had more. She was like, she had more of a future and now she's stuck. Right. And she comes across this ballroom dance teacher who's way younger than her. And at first it was more like oh, I want to help him. He's young. I want to lead him in the right direction kind of thing. And of course, and you know, this bond kind of builds between them. Right. And for this one, it was more like, it's very non-conventional because their relationship never really started.
Right.
They had feelings for each other, and she was like, I'm a married woman. He didn't believe her because she wasn't wearing a ring, but her ring was actually a watch, like a matching watch.
Oh, okay, I see.
With her husband. And so he had to accept it. And then in the meantime, he like meets the husband and has to act like like he has no feelings for the husband's wife, right? And so it's not necessarily their breakup, because at the end she chooses to be not to be with him, but also she gave up on her husband too. So she ends up with nobody at the end.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
But the interesting part is the middle, where they have to suppress their feelings for each other. So in terms of, it's not like necessarily a breakup, but it feels like a breakup.
Sure.
So that part, so I can't really count it, but it does, like, even to this day, and it's been so many years ago since I've watched it, like, I still remember that scene where, like, he has to accept that she's married. Then he has to pretend like, oh, he's just teaching her how to dance. And then sitting down and having dinner with her husband, and, like, just that, like, they both have those feelings. They're both suppressing it because they don't want, they're trying to be responsible and not, acknowledge these feelings. But yet it's like bubbling up from inside them. So that, and I know, like, a lot of people, first of all, when this drama came out, people really hated it because, first of all, Yamapi was a very popular idol at the time, and like, heartthrob, right? And people hated her because she looked so much older than him.
Right, forgetting that that's the whole point.
That is exactly the whole point. It is an older woman, younger guy story. So then, of course, and the thing is, you would think, like, oh, that was back then, but, like, in recent years, it's the same thing. Like, with Rational Life, Dylan Wang was paired up with Qinglan, and people, like, hated her because she's so much older than him. And I'm like, well, that's the whole story, is older woman, younger guy, right? So it's just kind of, I understand, like, if you don't like that type of story, you don't have to watch it. You don't have to watch older woman, younger guy, or whatever it is, right? But also, like, a lot of people, I feel like, they can't enjoy anything if they can't see the characters for who they are, and not that it's just the actors that you like.
Right.
Right. And so also, like, I understand a lot of people, like, can't condone any kind of cheating story. And I'm like, you don't have to condone it in your real life, for sure, right? But, like, you can still appreciate a story.
Well, it's a movie, guys. It's a show.
If it's done well.
Just watch it. Doesn't have to be representative of you wholly. That's the thing that drives me nuts a little bit, is people have to feel like every single scene of every single drama has to represent all of their interests. And you're like, no. Like, just because you don't want to break up with your boyfriend doesn't mean breakup scenes don't work. Like, not every scene has to fit inside this tiny little, like, comfort zone that you have for your personal life. That's why we watch movies, so we can leave our life and join someone else in their story and experience something different and experience emotions we wouldn't normally get. And I think sometimes that's lost on audiences. It's just, like, you're not just supposed to sit there and be happy. Like, that's not why you're watching this. If you wanted to watch that, like, there's entertainment outlets for that.
Yeah. For me, it's like, a good story has a beginning, middle, and end, right? And a lot of people, like, I think, are just content the story just being a straight line where there's no ups and downs.
No, it's just, I mean, like you say, being happy all the time. Like, once upon a time, two people got together, and then they just kind of lived together and were groovy.
And then we watch a TV show where they sit in the living room and watch TV all day. Like,
yeah, real life is boring. That's why we watch movies and TV shows.
Yes. So that's why I feel like, even though there are a lot of aspects of things that you might not like, you can still appreciate, like, say, the good acting in it. Like, how if put in this situation, how they overcome these obstacles or trauma or whatever. It's like, you can watch these characters, like, heal. Just things like that, just different things that it's like, you don't have to experience it yourself.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like, if it makes you super uncomfortable and it triggers any kind of traumas, don't watch it. Yeah. It's totally fine.
Completely fine.
But yeah. So.
But I think something you said there, and I think is the point we should come back to from the beginning, is is yes, there's that. I think audiences sometimes are just very hesitant to watch anything that doesn't make them feel completely comfortable and safe. On the other hand, writers, directors, filmmakers sometimes get a little lazy. They get a little cliche and they lean into things and go the path of least resistance. And I think both of those groups need to kind of be aware of what they're doing and bring it back to and rely on the structure of storytelling, right? Like, when in doubt, we need a beginning, we need a middle, and we need an end, and we need conflict throughout. And we need our characters to go on a journey together and apart to find themselves, to overcome their obstacles, and ultimately either be happy or not be happy. Like, the outcome is not written in stone. That's the great thing about stories. We don't know how they're going to end.
So, as we talked about cinematic structure and we're talking about all these, like, you know, I started more like the conventional dramas and then into like some non-conventional, like, breakups and things like that. I want to talk about, like, in this modern day, 2025, what I've noticed now is, you know, a lot of fans and audiences don't want to see that breakup. And I've noticed a lot of dramas have kind of veered away from that cliche breakup, you know, scene and getting back together. You know, we've seen it so many times, it's getting tired. And I've noticed a lot of times, like, there has been shows where they don't do the breakup. And what I actually do appreciate is, like, just reinventing cinematic structure in terms of, rather than doing a breakup scene, they put the couple together and they overcome an obstacle, some kind of blockage that would essentially break them up. But rather than them breaking up, they work together and they overcome that obstacle together.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I mean too in being lazy. Like, if you look at the structure of a romantic comedy or a romance show, and if you're looking at it from a simplistic, lazy point of view, you go, okay, well, so, you know, like, you kind of, like, boy meets girl, boy woos girl, they're together, then they break up, then they get back together. Okay, fine. But if you dig a layer deeper, you realize all those steps are just progression and conflict. And you can substitute anything else in there as long as it has progression and conflict, as long as your characters are progressing towards something, and as long as there are obstacles that are keeping them from getting their goal. You don't need a breakup. You can have something that they, like you say, they band together and overcome. You can have internal drama that they have to overcome before they can then engage in the happiness of their own relationship. There's tons of things. It doesn't need to be a breakup. Like, it's a very network note. Oh, we need a breakup. It's like, no. We need an obstacle.
Yes. So I think we have a couple of examples that I've noticed over the year, like recent dramas. Prisoner of Beauty being one. Your Sky is one. When I Fly Towards You, another. Those are ones that, like, they truly show like an essence of a relationship where there's not a breakup, you know, where they, like, actually, of course, like in Prisoner of Beauty, they have all these, you know, obstacles, and then they had to, like, you know, gain each other's trust and learn to trust the other. But once they're there, that's it. They're loyal to each other, and that they work, you know, they work together to fight outside forces.
Yeah.
And with Your Sky, you know, they, once that they're together, like, the rest of the things is, like, you know, the worries of family members realizing that they're gay, or, you know, just things like that, you know. And When I Fly Towards You is literally just feels like living your life as a couple, like, from them starting to like each other in high school, and then them officially dating in college, and of course they have obstacles and like, you know, life events, and, you know, time constraints, all these things. And of course there's going to be people that are interested in them, but they've always found that, like, they trust each other and they're always going to be together. And so they just have to work together to, like, shoo away the love, like, the people that want to come and, like, break them up.
Right.
Kind of thing. And it's just, and we've seen this now where there are no breakups, and it's still, there are still issues, and it's just as enjoyable as the breakups.
And I think that's kind of going back to the beginning of saying it's not necessarily that breakups are good or bad or necessary. It's what does your story need to tell a complete story, to have a beginning, middle, and end, to put your characters and make them earn their final credit sequence. Like, why do we cut to credits at the end? How has the characters earned it? What made them get there? How have they changed? Like all those things. And when they're done well, breakup scenes are amazing. And when they're done lazy, we call them cliche and we call them tropes. And no doubt at some point, in these shows that you just named, will we get to, they'll overcome external obstacles. And when those external obstacles become lazy and convenient, we'll also call that a trope.
Very true.
So it's about taking care of your stories and taking care of your characters. And also for the audience, not just being repulsed at anything that is, I don't like that scene. Yeah, but you don't like that scene because you want your characters to be happy. Or do you not like that scene because the scene is bad? There is a massive difference. Like, you can hate bad guys, but do you hate them because they're being really good at their job being bad guys? Or do you hate them because they're not good characters and bad acting and all this stuff? There's a difference. And I think the audience sometimes blurs those two things. And I know for a fact on the filmmaker side, we sometimes blur those two things. Oh, well, the audience really doesn't like this character. It's like, yeah, they're not supposed to.
Yeah. So, but that is it for us.
That's it for this week. We've got no recs. Go watch things. Let us know what you think your favorite breakup scenes are, or if breakup scenes are a trope and we're just talking out of our ass.
Yeah. But thank you for listening.
We'll see you next time.